sign Alex Rodriguez's contract until he opted out, and then they foolishly extended him.
I still don't understand that. They're the only ones bidding against themselves. Here's some more money, Rod.
I know, that was stupid. But all of these contracts, or most of these contracts that set these new high bars are being done by other teams. The Seattle Mariners signed Robinson Cano to an absurd 10-year contract for, what was it, $260 million or some crazy number like that. The Yankees were kind of like, all right, we'll give you like 7 years for $160 million. The contract was it was in the next stratosphere what the Mariners offered Cano.
And actually, from what I remember, the Mariners offered more years, but it was about the same offer. The Yankees had a little less per year, but I think it was
the Yankees offered less per year, and it was 3 years left. The most the Yankees were going to go was 7 years with Cano.
Yeah, right.
And the Mariners went 10. But
that
was the kind of contract that the Yankees used to do.
Right.
But now I'm saying, so now we got the Mariners, we got the Cubs, we got the Rangers, all of these other teams that are raising these bars. But then when they decide that the contract's not working and they can't pay other players to put a team around these superstars, well, then they unload. And who's the teams they go to? The Yankees and the Red Sox. There aren't many other teams that can afford it. I'm hearing bells.
That's all.
Is that outside?
Yeah, it's outside.
All right. So anyway, that is my objection, because all I've heard for decades, well, the Yankees, all they do is buy the pennant, and the Red Sox are this, scrappy, gritty, we do it the right way. Meanwhile, the Red Sox are like top 3 in payroll pretty much every year.
Right. So
whether or not they're spending $200 million on a team or $180 million, what difference does it make when you're in that kind of when you're at that sort of level? This year, the Red Sox payroll is $235 million. They were by far the biggest spending team in baseball.
Oh yeah,
because pretty much every other team was trying to get under $197 million,
including the Yankees,
so they could splurge in free agency this year. And look, Croce is on the Facebook Live. He's again asking for an apology. The apology's not happening, Croce. Not happening. Period.
But one thing that I think the Yankees, and I heard Hal Steinbrenner was this past week, or last week actually, talking about we're going to start spending again. When it was Hal Steinbrenner, not Hank, of course, who was saying, hey, let's get under the level here. Let's get under that line that says we shouldn't spend more than $197 million.
Because the Yankees wanted to go into free agency this year and say, all right. And they still want to stay under. The luxury tax number this year is going to be $206 million. Steinbrenner wants to stay under that, too. So it's not like the Yankees are going to go out and say, all right, Manny Machado, check. Bryce Harper, check. Dallas Keuchel, check. We're just going to throw $100 million a year.
Manny would be on the wrong team if he was with the Yankees. I don't want him on the Mets either.
Why is the wrong team? I don't understand.
I don't think he's.
Personally, I don't want him. I've said it more.
I don't think he fits in with that team. First of all, and I don't want him on the Mets.
I have been on the record for more than a year, if not 2, as saying that A, the Yankees do not need Bryce Harper.
Right.
The outfield is already overcrowded.
That's true.
And B, I don't want Manny Machado because where's he going to play? I mean, the Yankees right now have a need at shortstop because Didi Gregorius had Tommy John surgery on his throwing arm, but he's out for half a season.
Right.
He should be back around the All-Star break. So do you sign Manny Machado to a 7 or 8 year contract because you're going to be missing a guy for half a year?
No.
So and then what happens when Didi comes back? Well, now you got Manny Machado. Now you're moving him to third base? All right, he'd be better defensively than Miguel Andujar. But now what do you do with Andujar? You can't take his bat out of the lineup. He's 28 home runs and 90-something RBIs this year. As a rookie, he's only getting better.
You hope so.
So the fact that you're even looking at this guy, and especially with the comments that he made during the World Series about how he doesn't really hustle, and that was Robinson Cano. You got rid of that guy. And apparently a lot of people didn't like having him around because he loafed and he wasn't. I'm not saying you got to go all out all the time, but run down the line.
At least
so if an infielder bobbles a ball, that maybe you'll steal a couple of hits here and there, but don't just loaf.
So you refuse to apologize to the Red Sox fan?
That's not even close.
Tim Leonard refuses. The Red Sox fan.
Look at this. Facebook. Like Croce's ranting. He's posted like six times in a row.
516-572-7440 if you'd like to rant to my brother about the Red Sox or anything else in sports or me, whatever. Anyway, the Giants had a bye week as we mentioned. So
wait. Before you go to Giants, bro, the GM meetings are starting this week. That's a big part of the baseball off season.
Okay.
That's one. Don't expect like a lot of trades or free agency signings to get done this week.
Yeah.
But this is when the talking starts. And I'll tell you who the Yankees' top target is. Patrick Corbin.
Okay.
From the Arizona Diamondbacks, left-hander.
Okay.
But that's what they need. They need starting pitching. And I'll tell you what. This is what I would love to see the Yankees do. I would love this. All right. Sign Patrick Corbin. All right. Now you have a rotation and sign. Well, I don't know. If you go J.A. Happ, I don't know. See, that would be a problem. But sign Patrick Corbin. You have Jordan Montgomery coming back from Tommy John surgery this year, and you could even sign CC to a one year deal if you wanted to. But next year,
you bring back CC.
Next year is the big year. You know why? This is what I'm doing if I'm the Yankees.
What?
Chris Sale has to become a Yankee. He's a free agent after next season. So not only would you be taking a very good pitcher away from the Red Sox.
I can't
adding very good pitcher. Taking a pitcher away from the Red Sox.
Last time you talked about free agency, it was 2 years or 1 year and a half years away. It was Matt Harvey, and look what happened to him. So I don't care about Chris Sale right now.
But that would be the ultimate
too
signing.
Far ahead in the world.
Ultimate signing right there.
Anyway, let's talk about the Giants. They were off. They had a bye week this week, so everything looks good for them at least because they didn't lose. Kyle Lauletta.
Gotta love Kyle Lauletta.
You know, Kyle, you know what? If you're about to become the starting quarterback of the New York Football Giants, you don't go out being stupid in your car.
Well, apparently being stupid in his car is what he did last week because he got arrested, and I believe there were 7 charges.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Due to him making a turn where the cops told him not to turn, he made the turn anyway, almost hit a police officer with his car after he made the turn. Somebody's got to tell him. Eli could get away with that because he's Eli. The cops would see him and say, "Oh, Eli, hey, all right, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Everybody else go this way. Eli, go ahead."
Yeah.
But you're Kyle Lauletta. Nobody knows who you are.
No one.
Nobody's looking at you and saying, "Oh, look, quarterback for the Giants." They're looking at you saying, "Hey, look at this dumbass from who played college football last year." I think Wake Forest or wherever it was.
I mean,
like
but you're about to become. Yeah, there is going to be a point this year, especially if the Giants don't continue to lose, that Eli Manning's not starting.
Correct.
And that
correct.
Kyle Lauletta is going to be the guy, the man, which is in New York City a big deal to be the starting quarterback for the Jets or the Giants. The focus is always on you.
I wouldn't call him the man just yet, but he's auditioning to be the man.
Right. Well, okay.
So, I mean, let's not put too much on Kyle Lauletta getting a start or two.
No,
because
I mean, you know what?
They're not going to give him the rest of the season. If it goes well, then he'll keep playing. But if Kyle Lauletta comes in and has a couple starts like Sam Darnold did yesterday, that experiment is not going to continue.
Well, then that's when you go and you make stupid turns. That's when you get out of it.
I don't even know what that means.
What it means is then you act stupid after you're not going to make it.
Well, like I said a couple weeks ago, Justin Herbert, brother, that's the guy you need to be looking at. He's the quarterback from Oregon, and assuming he decides to come out, then it becomes the only other team that right now the Giants are competing with for the number 1 overall pick are the Oakland Raiders. And if you watch Thursday Night Football, brother, and I know you do because I know you're addicted to Thursday Night Football. The Raiders were awful against the 49ers.
Love Joe Buck calling games.
There you go. But I'm saying the Raiders looked like the Jets on Thursday night. That's how bad they were. I mean, it was an atrocious game. The Raiders couldn't have done much more worse. But now they need to decide: are they going to trade Derek Carr? They've already traded 2 of their best players in Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper. But in doing that, they have accumulated first-round picks. So is anybody going to give them a first-round pick for Derek Carr? I mean, Derek Carr is a pretty good quarterback, but he's a guy who I think was probably better 2 years ago than he is right now. Now, part of that could be because of the weapons around him. Like I said, Amari Cooper is gone now, so that's a top wide receiver who is no longer with your club. And the Raiders right now, I mean, talk about a team in a bad situation. John Gruden's in the first year of a 10-year contract, and the team is just falling apart. And I heard a rumor. I don't know how true this is, but I heard a rumor that Gruden is willing to wait 2 years until Tua Tagovailoa of Alabama is ready to come out, and to draft him number one. So that would require 2 years of being really bad. And so, are the Raiders really willing to do that? And of course, and to put themselves into position to get Tua? Well, they also,
the other side of the thing with the Raiders, just the Raiders, next year is their last season in Oakland. In 2020 they moved to Vegas.
Right, exactly.
So next season is going to be even worse for the fans because the fans are going to just start giving up on them or be angry or whatever, however they felt last time when they moved to Los Angeles. So it's going to be a little bit different.
But, Mark Davis, Al Davis' son, who clearly is not as smart as his father was,
no, he isn't.
Gave Gruden a 10-year contract because he thought Gruden would be the savior of his franchise. And instead, the Raiders, talk about a team in a free fall. It's embarrassing what's going on here. And to allow Khalil Mack, who's one of the best defensive players in football, to leave. I mean, they got a pretty good deal. They got a couple of number one picks. I mean, they got some value for him, but it's really difficult to let players of that caliber go. Right, because it's so hard to find them in the first place.
Right.
Look at the Giants. Look at the Giants draft. Look, Eric Flowers and Eli Apple, back-to-back first-round picks. Now neither one of them is with the team. Eric Flowers was a disaster, and Eli Apple wasn't much better, but at least they were able to trade Eli Apple. Eric Flowers, they had to release him. So when you get a guy in the first round, and Mack he wasn't a number one overall pick. I mean, the kid was out of Buffalo, for God's sake. But when you get somebody like that, and that's I'll say even with the Giants, it's Saquon Barkley. He's been that kind of talent where you look at this kid and you look at the way he plays and say, all right, this is a guy who's going to be an impact guy for at least 7-8 years, unless he gets hurt. I mean, but you've already seen what Saquon Barkley can do in a game.
Right.
So those players are so tough to find. You need to keep them when you have them, and they haven't done that. They've traded quality first round picks.
Well, that's a good point.
But that's why they're in the situation they're in. They're letting their talent go,
right.
and now they're 1-7. And like I said, they lost. The Raiders were 1-6. The 49ers were 1-7 going into that game Thursday night, which TV must have loved that matchup.
Oh yeah.
But then the 1-6 team gets crushed by 30 points. The 49ers won that game. What was it, 34-3? I think it was. On paper, you said these two teams are pretty even. All right, 49ers had some kid named Mullins playing quarterback. He's a third-string quarterback. He threw three touchdowns and went for like 250-plus yards. Third-string quarterback.
But you know what?
He looked like Joe Montana.
But that's the type of thing where if you're the third-string guy and if you do have some sort of talent, when you have to have some sort of talent just to be on the team, you should be able to walk in and say, this is my moment. I'm going to show them what I can do. Instead of just handing the ball off, which is a lot of times what they do.
Well, and that's fine. But I also caught a stat after the game, and this is one of these newfangled stats that I know you love so much, brother.
You know I'm an analytical guy.
Yeah, not really. But the stat that was put out on ESPN was that Mullins was not required to make any tight window throws, is what they call them. And that means a defensive player is within a yard of a receiver.
Okay.
So where the quarterback really has to fit the ball in there and to make a completion. He didn't have any. Do you realize how bad a defense has to play if a quarterback doesn't have to make any tight window throws? That means the receivers aren't covered.
Well,
so none. It's never happened. In the years that they've been doing these stats, it's never happened.
Okay, well. By the way, we've got one more thing about the city of Boston, brother.
Oh, what's that?
During the World Series parade, some drunk Boston fan. Is there any other type?
It's a mook. The word mook covers it all.
Was it your friend Croce? I don't know.
It might have been. I don't know.
They threw now. Did they throw a can of full beer?
A full can.
Now,
a full unopened can
was
of beer.
Was it trying to throw it to the player and they missed it, or was it just throwing it because we hate you?
Apparently, this all started with that other idiot Gronk.
Okay.
Who we all know is like his brain is made of mashed potatoes.
But he does a great Tide commercial.